All right, you guys can fire away.
You might want to put some light on me. Looking orange. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, you can turn them all on the with the thing. Just turn them to the other side.
For that.
In the thing in there, on the breaker. Just hit them all to the on way.
Hit them all left.
Yeah, you can see it on the thing. Some of them are left, some of them are right. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Nope,
Keep going.
the one's on top.
These ones should come on here.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, now we're going.
Boy, I tell you what, now I got to do my own press conferences. I got to do my own lighting features now. Golly.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, good morning, Ron. Sam Fournier with the Washington Post. I want to start with Dwayne. It seemed like he was getting the ball out really quick yesterday, and I was wondering if that was the game plan or him making quick decisions, or maybe you want to see the O-line, give him a little more time. I guess what would you kind of attribute that to?
For the most part, what that really is just him going through his reads, getting an understanding of what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. He did some really good things, made some really good decisions. Couple things you'd like to see him do, though, is put a little bit more touch on the ball at times. He tried to gun a couple of them in, and because of it, the ball ended up a little bit behind. Instead of really putting that lead throw into it, in other words, he tried to lead the receiver a little bit better. He tried to hit the receiver on the spot. So, I think he was a little bit anxious. He looked like he was having fun, but he looked a little bit anxious at times. And once he settled in, though, and we saw that, he really took command of what we were doing.
And when you say, kind of fitting that ball in, is it not just the throw, but also taking more time in going through his reads, or is that more just, putting speed on the ball?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Because again, you go through your reads, you go through your progression. Sometimes you want to hang on a receiver a little bit longer, and you may have to gun it in. Other times you maybe go from 1 to 2, and all of a sudden as you're going to 2, you realize, hey, I got 2 if I lay the ball out there. So again, this is a second-year quarterback who's done a great job, who's learning, who's made good decisions yesterday. He really did. And that's one of the things that was really pleasing was, even though he may have missed a couple throws, those throws were headed where they were supposed to the right receivers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Ron, John Kine, ESPN. Sometimes with the quarterback, when you're starting off a little bit sluggish, there's one play that gets you going. Was there a play that you felt like Dwayne started to relax after having made it?
That's funny. I just got done watching the tape, and I don't know. I just felt like he was relaxed the whole time. It was just a matter of things coming together as a group. I will say this, though. I thought in the third quarter, in the second, I think it was the second drive, he showed confidence. He stood tall, made some real good decisions, delivered a couple of nice balls. It just looked like he had good command. I mean, like I said, I never really thought about that, because to me he just looked like he was out there having fun.
And then you guys, early on, Scott was using a lot more of the 2 running back sets. And then as the game went on, more 3 receiver, 1 back sets. How much did that help? Why the change? And then did that help you guys get into a better rhythm?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you why, because that's all part of game planning.
Well, just between us.
Oh, yeah. But I think the thing about it really is, he's trying to create the flow. And if he gets something working with that combination of players, then he's going to stick with it. I mean, it's the same thing for going with the 3 receiver packages, the 11 personnel groupings. If you get into a specific flow with a specific group, you're going to ride it. You're not going to start changing guys just for just for the sake of it. I think because of J.D. McKissick's versatility too, he can stick with that personnel grouping because again, he's so versatile that you can go into your hurry-up offense, you can go into your different formations, and really create some mismatches. And I think that's part of what he was trying to look for.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ron. I was just sitting there thinking about some of the stuff that you've told us during the offseason. One, about when you drafted Chase Young, you all said that 1, he could be great for the defense, but 2, great for the overall offense. And then the book about the splitting the vow about when church, that quote that you mentioned about hunkering down for the long haul.
Right.
It just, a lot of it had a lot of great foresight, and I'm wondering, when did you realize that the things that I don't know, when did this team give you the impression that like you could certainly say some things like that, or when does this team give you that impression, I guess, like to feel comfortable saying some of those things? So it seems like you have very good foresight on a lot of what's happened so far with this team.
You know, Ryan, because they're so young, but yet they've gone through so much. And when you've weathered the storm like these guys have, I think it deserves to be pointed out. I just think that there's a group of young men that you know had to deal with some things the last few years. If you go back to a lot of these guys when they first got drafted here and have had their struggles. I mean, it's been tough, and the last few years have been tough. Believe me, I went through it in Carolina. I mean, those guys went through a tough time. Well, these guys have gone through a tough time. But when you start seeing some of the things that happen, like on the sideline, I didn't see anybody bickering. I didn't see anybody pointing fingers. I didn't see anybody getting after each other for no reason at all. So that kind of led me to believe, okay, they got it. They're understanding. And the nice thing is I started hearing them asking questions about, hey, how can we do this? Why is this going on? What can we change? Instead of looking for somebody to blame. So I saw a little maturity on the sideline, which really pleased me. And I just think, with how resilient they were during the game, they needed to hear that because these guys have the potential. They're a young group of players. If we can keep these guys together for a period of time, we can develop and grow as a team. Hey, who knows where we can go? Who knows where we can be? To your other point you asked about Chase's impact on not just the defense, but on the team as a whole. But the impact really is from what the defense does, and that is if you look at where we scored some of our points, we got them off of turnovers and great field position. Okay, so we scored touchdown on three possessions that started on their side of the 50. So that's huge when you get into those type of situations. And that's what a good pass rush, that's what taking the ball away, that's what good special teams play can do for you, Ree.
And I guess this foresight thing, I might have to ask you for the lotto numbers next time, but you've talked so much about Jimmy Moreland, how he's always around the ball, how you love plays with that tenacity, even though he's a smaller guy. And there he goes, getting into screenplays, busting those up all by himself, basically. He gets his first interception. I guess going back to the point of this, you see these guys a lot, so when do you just know and like you can speak so confidently about these guys at some point?
Well, again, some guys just have that knack. Another guy to keep an eye out too has been Fabian Moreau. I mean, Fabian's kind of practiced that way the last few weeks, and so really to see him step up and make an opportunity, that was great. Cam came up, had his opportunities. Cam Curl. There's some guys that just as you watch in practice, they seem to focus in, they seem to pay attention. And we got some veteran guys that just always seem to be around the football. So it's pleasing to see those things. But as far as Jimmy's concerned, he has fun. I mean, he enjoys what he does. He works at his craft. He brings energy to it. He's an infectious type personality. That's what you want on your football team is those guys that may not be the star player, but again, when he's one of those significant role players, he can impact your team.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Hi, Ron. Nikki Jabala with the Washington Post. With Dwayne, you mentioned his confidence and his command. That even keel mentality, is that something you noticed in him in camp? And having worked with a number of young quarterbacks over the years, is that pretty unique at this stage in his career?
I think it's what he's been working towards. I mean, I know last year he was a little bit more emotional when you watch some of the tape from it, watch some of the heard some of the stories about some of the stuff that he was thinking about and concerned with. Again, it was one of the things that I challenged him in January about, and that was focusing in on what he was doing and just it seems to be a confidence more than a cool or a calmness. It's more just confidence because he knows. I mean, I talked about it the other day that one of the things that I wanted to make sure when we came here was that we had a specific plan for the development of Dwayne and Kenny and Scott have done a terrific job making sure that those things were instilled, those things were done, and because of that I think it's kind of helped to build the confidence in which we're seeing him play with.
And I feel like we're used to asking players how they feel physically coming out of games, but how do you feel coming out of this game, just with everything you're going through?
I was tired yesterday, to be honest with you, and it really kind of wore me down a little bit. The excitement and the energy, and really it took a while to kind of come down off the high. It was really a cool experience, and to be in that locker room with those guys, and And I heard them, talking a couple weeks ago when a group of them had done their interviews with you guys. They had talked about how tired they were of losing. So for them to win and to win in the fashion that they did, it was, I mean, it really was very gratifying as a coach to see the smiles on their faces. Because as I said, this is a group of young men that have gone through an awful lot the last few years. And this offseason, to be quite honest, I mean, we've had to deal with some stuff that, you normally don't, and it affects people. But for them to stay focused on what they needed to be and stay rallied around each other, that was huge.
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ron, David Aldridge with The Athletic. You had mentioned yesterday after the game that there were, you had to spend some of camp reteaching techniques to some of the D linemen, and that they may have been a little resistant.
Yep.
I was wondering if you could go into a little bit more detail on that, and not so much about the technical aspects of what you want them to do, but that back and forth between a new staff that has ideas and players that might be resistant to those ideas, and how you got them to buy in.
Well, David, you understand, because again, when you're trying to teach something that's a little bit different, and the guys had 3-4 years in that, to play a certain technique, a certain style, a certain way, it's hard to break those habits. And sometimes until you get a chance to see it, until you get a chance to go out and actually do it, you're always going to be resistant, because we didn't have preseason games to sit there and really go 100 miles an hour and get a chance for our guys to see what it's like to play a specific technique, to set your hands a certain way, to look through the blocker to the ball carrier, to locate, to make a play. When you don't have that to fall back on while you're teaching and coaching these guys, it's very difficult for people to buy in. Now, hopefully, as we progress, and again, hopefully we can have success next week, these guys will start to see it and go, man, okay, I get it. I see what they're trying to teach us. I understand what they're coaching. Now it feels right. Now it feels better, and we can keep going forward. And again, it's no different than what we've done with Dwayne, with what Scott and what Kenny have done in terms of showing them hey, this is how it works. This is how you can be successful.
You had mentioned that the D-line depth all spring, and adding Chase adds to that, obviously. Did you feel that there was a wear-down effect as the game went on yesterday, as you kept subbing guys in and out?
Yes, I did. I really did. And next week will be an even bigger task, because if you got a chance to catch any of that game last night, you saw there was a very active young quarterback, and he's a heck of a football player. And you're going to have guys that are fresh. Guys are going to have to understand that, hey, you got to be ready to rotate. You got to be ready to roll. And again, you've got to play high energy against a terrific football player like him.
Thanks.
All right.
Heather McDonough, NBC4. Coach, we saw on Sunday Night Football last night, the whole country saw you get that game ball. Can you kind of take us through that moment in the locker room? And no matter how tired you were and worn down, I'm sure that was special. Can you just kind of take us through that moment?
It was. I wanted to recognize, Ryan Kerrigan's accomplishment of becoming, this franchise's all-time sack leader. And I wanted to say thanks to the coordinators, because the last few weeks have been really tough on them, because my time has been really split. So I just wanted to make sure I recognized them, and it was really kind of cool that the players and our staff recognized me, and which led me to tell everybody that winning and losing is very, very humbling, and when you get into a situation that I'm in, your circumstances, it's a very humbling one, because it brings reality. There's a touch of realism, and it was a cool moment. It really was. It was.
And when you kind of sat down, once you got home with your family, or had a second to breathe, what was that like when you do you go over the game with your wife? What's that like when you get home and you sit on the couch, or you just go straight to bed?
No, that's one of the cool things, is Stephanie's been with me and been through this for 34 years, 35 years actually. And so she knows what it's like. And it was an opportunity to sit down and unwind and talk a little bit about what happened. And the thing that's really cool for me personally is as a coach, and you watch certain things happen, you go, God, it looks like they're getting it. It looks like they're understanding. It looks like we're achieving what the goals that we talked about. And the one thing that I've always talked about, and I've tried to make sure we all understand more so than anything else, is going forward, this is about building a sustainable winning culture. And what happened was, during the game, one of the things I said to the offensive line is, hey, we have to sustain success. We had a couple of really good plays, and also we have one or two bad plays, and we weren't sustaining the success. So I went over and told the guys, we have to sustain success. We have to sustain success. And they I felt like they got it because, one good play begot another good play, begot another good play, and next thing you know, we're rolling. And it's the same thing on that I say is that if we can develop a sustainable winning culture, we can do these things and we can make things happen and we can create the type of environment and culture people want to be part of.
Hey, Ron, I'm just kind of curious on the formula for kind of winning games, having the defense be dominant and the offense doing just enough. Is that a formula you see like necessary for the rest of the year, or do you think you guys can win some different ways as well? I'm just kind of curious on how.
I believe we can win some different ways. I'm not quite sure if we exactly know where we are offensively because we're so young, we're so new to it. One of the plus things about being on the defensive side, if you look at the guys that made plays yesterday, other than Chase, that front was here. It's just a matter of putting those guys in a position to have success. Offensively, there's a lot of new bodies, a lot of new people, a lot of young faces at wide receiver, new faces at tight end and running back. You got a young quarterback. So we may have to win that way for a while. But don't count out the possibility of our offense catching fire and learning and understanding and growing into who we can become. And I just think, again, it's with hard work and these guys understanding what we're asking of them and trusting in the process, we have a chance to develop. And who knows? I mean, maybe not this year, maybe next year, but it is a process, which I remind the players of that we're going through.
We got time for 3 more.
And then just how did you see the left side of the offensive line hold up?
Not bad. They got smacked in the face early. They really did. And excuse me for using that phrase. They got hit pretty good early, and I think that kind of snapped. Wes Martin took a pretty good shot early on and wasn't as stout as he needed to be. I just went up and told him, hey, drop your anchor, young man. You can play this game. And then Jerron got a little lazy on another play, and hey, keep moving your feet. And then I thought they responded. I really did. It was funny because, when I was writing my notes up for the team meeting, I said the same thing in about all 3 phases, and that was we started slow. We missed a field goal. We have a very, very accurate kicker. He missed a field goal. We started slow. We go 3 and out a couple times on offense. We started slow. We missed a couple third down opportunities on defense. We started slow. But once the guys settled in and all of a sudden they made a couple things happen, you could see the confidence build up. Well, I think both Wes and Jerron really epitomized guys that started slow but all of a sudden realized, shoot, I belong here. I can play. And that was pleasing to watch.
Hey, Ron, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Your defense did everything yesterday without Kendall Fuller. Just curious, how close was he to being able to play, and what did you kind of learn from your secondary without him that you can now maybe incorporate going forward when he returns?
Well, we'll talk about Kendall's status on Wednesday, but really pleased with what we got from Jimmy and Cam and from Darb and from I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Fabian. I think it was a very good showing by those guys. I thought Apke and who am I missing? Oh, and Landon and DeShazer. I mean, all those guys got an opportunity to get out there, and that's one thing that's really been a blessing to watch. Has been the way the secondary has grown and developed, and they're learning to work with each other. We used a lot of packages yesterday. Jack was very active, moving guys in and out, rotating guys through. So we got a chance to see who could go out there and compete. But what it does say about us is that we have guys that have the ability. And that's a huge plus. Like I said, Fabian came up, played extremely well, was really pleased with that. Darby gave up the one big play, but then he came back, had a chance for the big interception, almost got it. Just doing learning and understanding and from his mistakes. And again, Jimmy, like we talked about, here's a guy that's around the football, knows how to make plays. So again, it was a good effort by that group, and it was a lot of fun to watch them go out there and play.
Hey, Ron. You didn't challenge a play yesterday that I think was close on a dropped pass, but I'm curious just in general what your guys' procedures are, who you've got looking out for that, and how you guys approach that.
I got the flag. I'll listen to what any of the coaches say, and if anybody's adamant about what they think, then I'll throw the flag, and it's on me because it's my decision to throw it, and I'll stand by that. But I was right there when the play happened. It happened right in front of me. And I said to the referee immediately, I said, so you're not going to call that incomplete? And he said, no, coach, because I didn't think that the ground caused him to catch the ball. I said, okay. That's why I didn't throw the flag. I mean, it was almost immediate because I was right next to him when it happened.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it.